What is it, 10:15?
I was actually planning to go to the beach.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 15th, 2025 Plastow Planning Board meeting. Charlene, could you take the roll, please?
Sure. Sorry. Richard Anthony,
Here.
Karen Robinson. Here. Dan Kane,
Here.
Richard Clare,
Here.
Alan Pelletier,
Here.
Hills in Portugal, Liz Costa. Here. And Shay Raymaker.
Here.
Excellent. For purposes of tonight, I'm going to appoint Mr. Pelletier as a voting member. And then also by way of consensus, I'm going to ask.
Point of order.
Yes.
I'm here as a representative to the select board. I'm confused because you have a full,
Oh, that's right. Okay, sorry. That's right. You are correct. Mr. Pelletier will not be a voting member tonight. Good. Right.
Easy
I'm
come,
happy
easy
to
go.
take the
no
pressure off of you tonight.
So, yeah, it's Bill's not here and he happens to be a select board member. All right. And by way of consensus, our planning administrator will be participating tonight. All right. First order of business. We have a set of minutes from October 1st, 2025. If you haven't reviewed them, take a minute to review them. All right. Any changes or anything like that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll accept the minutes.
What's that?
Accept the minutes.
You can make a motion to,
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I second it. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
You abstaining?
I wasn't here.
Yeah, I wasn't
Okay.
either.
One,
Abstain.
two, sorry, two abstentions and
I am abstaining.
you're abstaining.
I was,
Okay, so there were two of us that were here then. So that's going to be,
That was it.
all right, was it 203? All right. Okay. All right, next order of business, a public hearing PB 25-10 continued from August 20, 2025. The completeness of an application from Brian Cormier for the consideration of a condominium conversion application. The application proposes to convert an existing duplex into a condominium form of ownership. The property is located at 15 Autumn Circle, tax map 66, lot 017-002-001 in the LDR zoning district. The property owner of record is 15 Autumn Circle Realty Trust. The application is found to be complete. The planning board will immediately conduct a public hearing. Is the applicant here? Yeah, just for the record, just state your name and your address so that we can just,
Brian Cormier.
all right, if you could just speak into that doesn't amplify.
Brian Cormier,
Okay,
15 Autumn Circle, Plastow, New Hampshire.
okay. I think we continued this just from the last meeting, just because, there was some questions and there wasn't anyone here. And our understanding is that this is just a condominium conversion and such.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And I think the only outstanding item was whether or not we were going to do some sort of legal review of the condominium documents, and that's been completed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? If not, then we can. All right. So for administrative purposes, I think I'd be closing the hearing then, the public hearing at 6:35. So I move to approve the condex conversion from Brian Cormier as noted in the legal notice PB 25-10 at 15 Autumn Circle, tax map 66, lot 017-002-001. I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? So it's going to be 5-0-0. All right, thank you. Great. All right, next on the agenda, we have a conceptual consultation from minor site plan development for Sushi Time, 5 Plastow Road, tax map 24, lot 38. And just, if you could just state your name and your address for the record, please.
George Stearns with SEC and Associates.
All right.
Troy.
All right, the floor is yours.
Here today regarding a conceptual consultation for the property at 5 Plastow Road, also known as Sushi Time Restaurant. It is located on Route 125 northbound in the Plastow Center Plaza, precisely in the one-story building that is home to Advanced Auto Parts. Other businesses in the plaza include Aldi, Savers, and Walgreens. Project site's approximately 19 acres in the C1 district. No wetlands, floodplains, or shoreline located within or near the site. The applicant proposes to place a 19-foot, 3-inch by 8-foot, 9-inch walk-in cooler on top of a concrete pad in the rear of the unit. An entrance to the cooler will be located on the south face of the hatched access aisle to allow the door to swing open. The construction will eliminate 1 or 2 parking spaces. We note that the rear of the building is currently not used for parking and mainly used for dumpsters and loading areas of the adjacent businesses. Cooler should have no impact on such operations and will not obstruct any access points to the rear of the building. It will be built to any applicable building codes. It will not increase impervious area currently existing. Although we are proposing a small structure that is simply a cooler to store perishable food, it would not increase the need for parking or other typical amenities. We're here to identify the next steps, and we hope they could agree that this could fall below the threshold for a site plan review. If the board has any questions or concerns, I can try to address them.
Well, I guess the first question would be, what are the dimensions of do you propose the cooler to be out back? I mean, this is happening in back, sort of that service.
Right, yeah, it's 19
access
foot by 3-inch, or I'm sorry, 19 3-inch by 8-foot, 9-inch.
Okay.
So 19 by 9.
Is it going to
basically.
follow the building to 19 feet and 8 foot out, or
It's going to be 19 feet out.
19 feet out?
Yeah. So basically a parking space.
And any type of, I mean, I guess, in terms of, obviously we'd have to have the input from, let's say, the fire department or something like that.
Especially where it's coming out 19
Yeah.
feet.
But the parking space itself comes out what, 20?
About that.
There's no parking spaces on the back of the building. They're across from it, from what I read.
No, there are.
Oh, there
There are some. in
There are
there.
on the
That's on the back. I
back.
don't recall. I just would only see the cars parked on the outside.
Correct. Because you just don't see them.
Yeah, if there's no cars there, you don't see them.
Yeah.
They have dumpsters there.
There's a lot of dumpsters there.
Yeah.
No,
A lot of
Right.
dumpsters
There's a lot
there.
of
In that
dumpsters.
way,
Yeah,
we go to sushi.
I'm in there
Time,
frequently.
I'm out, and I come in that way all the time. There are the spots, but no one's.
no one's ever parked there.
Okay.
So it looks like it will be like the length of one and the width of two.
Oh,
It
no,
will
8
be
feet
about
wide
the width of
one.
one.
8 feet wide is one?
One,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
one.
I guess I've never measured,
Well,
like visually.
roughly one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be avoiding getting in the way of the door that accesses the back.
Yeah, it goes to the
Okay.
back.
So it could end up taking 2 spaces at most.
Yeah, I've never seen a car parked on that side of the building.
No.
Yeah. Once in a while, Dance Works, I see them popping in the back.
Usually park on the backside.
Yeah.
On the backside.
What's the width of that lane?
It's at least,
Back Between the wall.
yeah, it's about 24 or so.
Okay, now between the two, between the end of
End
the
of
parking
the-
space up against the building.
Right. I don't know off the top of my head, but it seems like it does kind of open up with that curve.
It does. I just,
It gets a little
You can
tight
get
in there,
through. I was just
depending
gonna say,
on
can you
where,
get
where exactly it's gonna be. It gets a little tight. It would
Trucks?
definitely be
better if it was the other way. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying it would definitely
Yeah.
be better,
Around
but
this way, right. And the
especially when
trucks-
they do park across on the backside.
Yep.
And then you got cars coming around and trucks coming around.
See, I was worried about the trucks
Yeah.
going through there.
Well,
I think there's plenty of room for it. I
Okay.
really do. It's just a matter of maybe you might want to turn it, just saying. That's just my personal, because I drive that way virtually every day. And I
Good.
have near misses with trucks and cars all
Yeah,
the
the truck I
time.
would.
And that's without it.
I was worried
But the
about.
dumpsters are there, so I mean, it's definitely doable. It's just a matter of, it would be better to
Where you
be
wanna
this
place
way
it.
than that way.
Right.
That's just my personal feeling, just throwing it out there. I don't think it requires a site review. It just requires maybe just a little. maybe-
well, if a site review, full site plan review were waived, we would still be considering whether or not, if there's, ease of access, input from the fire department
absolutely.
and such like that.
Absolutely.
I would think. Is that,
Yeah,
am I incorrect?
Yeah, they would have to ask. too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I mean, at least from my perspective,
Yep.
that's the only consideration that I have is.
I agree. I think that's the only question I would ask.
Yeah,
I mean,
Right.
absolutely. Fire
Exactly.
department.
yeah. And the, from an aesthetic perspective, I mean, we're talking about dumpsters.
Yeah, there's nothing pretty
In the
there.
back, in the back.
There's nothing pretty there. It's just, he has a double unit, so he could
Yeah.
definitely turn it sideways if he had to.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an advantage or disadvantage to
Yeah,
doing
I
that,
mean,
but the fire department's ultimately.
Yeah.
where you
They're
should go
gonna
with
tell
that.
you, right.
I mean, from an aesthetic point of view, I
There's
don't
no
think
aesthetic spec.
Yeah, I don't.
The challenge there is if you turn it sideways, you lose three parking spots.
That they don't use anyway.
Right, yeah, they don't use it.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
use
I've
them,
never seen anyone
see, so that'd be perfect.
I've never seen a car parked on that side of the building. Plenty of trash, though.
There's no, again, just for the sake of saying it.
Right.
Is there anything in the way of back there where things are screened? Like, in other words, is there a dumpster and then there's a screen of some kind to sort of, shield the unsightly dumpster?
Nobody really
just-
sees
okay,
anything
just
back there.
dumpsters.
Right,
No,
so,
it's all raw
Yeah,
dumpsters.
Nobody sees anything back there anyway.
No, it's
okay.
a service road. It's a service road.
So, yeah, so at least from my perspective, then it's just, I'm only concerned about the mechanics of whether or not the fire department has,
So it's
or
gonna-
police department has some concern. Ms.
Are you
Pelletier.
going to pour a pad that it's going to sit on? Or is it going to sit on I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's gonna be a concrete pad poured, and then they're gonna put the cooler right on top of that.
Are there going to be any bollards or anything? Is there any concern to protect the backside? Is that going to take additional space? With those trucks coming through there? I know typically, when I see a lot of this time, they usually put bollards on either side. So if something does come in and
Yeah.
plowing or whatever, so it doesn't get hit. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's going to take additional space, if that was in the plan or.
Makes sense. We could take a look at that.
Well, if you turn it on its side,
Side,
then
then
you have
it's,
room for the ball.
that might be the answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the answer.
And here's the thing, the width of that already exists now. If it otherwise isn't encroaching on it, what's the fire department gonna do?
I think that they're the ones that are gonna say that. That's what I think it's gonna
Well,
happen.
what do they say?
They're
I don't
gonna
know.
Suggest too.
If this
do it
otherwise
sideways.
doesn't encroach on the existing drive path,
Then they say that there's not a problem.
okay?
Right,
I just like,
exactly.
it's the stuff that challenges me sometimes. It's just like, why are we doing this,
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's,
I think turning it on its side,
Side, yes.
I think Nolan's right on point.
Yep.
Maybe some bollards in the back end. You got the room. Yeah, you lose a couple of more spots. You're not
But you don't
using them
park there.
anyways.
And the bollards could be on them. They don't have to do that. That's to protect them.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
We don't
no
need to-
question.
we don't
no
need to
question.
Band-Aid that.
Right.
No.
I think it's smart, but yeah.
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, it is.
It worked very well for
Right.
Lee's.
well, I mean,
Sorry.
no, yeah, no, it's, we are a little shy of people, cars and vehicles driving through fences, slamming into telephone poles or through the front of various restaurant establishments. So, if you would like to consider that type of protection to, you could.
That'd be on you. We don't need to dictate that.
To me, I think if this thing got turned on its side,
I think it's a no-brainer.
I agree.
yeah,
It's a no-brainer. Just because it's just, I mean, 8 feet versus 19, I mean, just put it on side, he's got a double unit, he's not encroaching on a side unit,
You don't use the parking.
and the parking there is not used, so.
Okay, makes sense.
I mean, we're not here to tell you how, you know,
Yeah.
we're not going
Run
to
your
offer
business.
menu suggestions either, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Just put it
And
on
it
side.
eliminates any,
And I don't think there's any idea of problems with the number of parking spots for the mall by doing that. Because it just there's not a problem.
No, nobody parks.
Not a problem.
Nobody parks.
So apart from that, are you looking for something, just, a consensus of the board to say that it's not something that rises to the level of full site plan review?
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
so if we were just by way of consensus, do we agree?
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Fully. Yep.
Is there anything else?
That's all.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Yeah, you as well.
come again, bring like a Phoenix roll or something. Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
Zombie, well, whatever. Yeah, it makes more sense to go on the
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
right.
Got plenty of
Makes sense.
room.
Really does. Because it is, cut it tight there, like corner. It's a corner.
I go, I mean, I'm there once a week.
every day.
That's how
I own
go in.
Grumpy's Bar across the street.
Not that.
So instead of going out to 125, I just go through the back door.
How's
I
that?
go that way all the time, and I never
I
ever
literally drive
turn
there
left
every
going out of
day.
there.
I get it.
And there's definitely nobody using those
Now I
parking spots.
understand.
I don't go out there,
But they
I
do
come in
use the
that
ones
way.
across.
Yeah, I was
And then
gonna
I
say,
short.
going in,
All right.
yes, but not coming
Okay,
out.
Dan.
Come out the other.
so,
No.
Never go out
I
that
try
other
to
way.
all right, so for purposes of the agenda right now,
Everybody turn right. Everybody turns.
for purpose of the agenda, I think we're going to go out of order a little bit just to talk about we have a bond setting for Newton Road Estates. So unless you want to sit through or discussing various other topics. Yeah. All right, so,
Okay, what was this one now, bonds?
Yeah.
They're gonna want you to sit in front of
Where's that?
yeah, if you could just sit, give us your name and address, and then,
Al Couliard, 82 Seven Sister Road, Newton, Mass.
Is this?
excuse me.
let me just orient myself here. All right, very good. So I think the only thing that we need to consider here is just whether or not, we have an analysis or a bond estimate worksheet. And we're being asked to, for 50% of that bond to be posted. So I think,
Excuse me.
so I don't think there's anything here except to make the motion, and I move to set the construction bond for Newton Road Estates project at $90,436.50, which is 50% of the bond estimate worksheet amount of $180,873 as reviewed by Keach Nordstrom's Associates.
Second?
All right, Karen seconds it. Any discussion on the subject? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 4-0-0. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Sorry, 5-0-0. Good grief. All right. All right, that brings us to how do you want to proceed, Dan? We have a number of things that we can talk about with respect to budget.
Do the budget first?
Yeah, why not? That's a little, is there something on the
Yes.
spreadsheet that we want to talk about?
Mouse up there?
Better not be.
I don't think there's a mouse up there.
All right, no, so just by way of presentation wise, I mean, it looks like we have an insert here that looks like for the planning board, But I think, Mr. Kane has something that's a little more involved with respect to what we're looking for from, a budget perspective.
You have to double click.
Oh, all right.
Normally it just goes
Sorry.
up on the screen.
No, I'm not seeing it. Probably a slot for your credit card.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to use yours. I didn't bring mine.
No problem. You can owe me.
Oh, sure.
Oh, you wanted that on.
I tried not to touch it.
It's myself trying to work on my wife's MacBook. Forget it. Oh, I'm like alien.
It's working on the screen behind you.
That's
At least I can see the mouse.
Well, it's coming on now. Yeah.
We just gotta do this, and I'm like, here.
Okay.
People that have them do love it.
Yeah, okay. So when I want to tab over, it's just the same as Excel, right? Just going down.
So it's this one, right?
No, that's the bond. All right, but Dan, before you get going, if you could just set the context of what it is that we're looking at, what we're doing, because from a budget perspective, putting this together, I think this, for a lot of people, this is going to be a little,
Yeah.
is going to be a little new territory,
Okay.
right? Specifically, let's say the RSA and stuff like
So-
that, that frames it.
So all budgets in the state of New Hampshire are required to be prepared on a gross basis. Okay, so that means that not only do you list the amounts to be appropriated, okay, which is generally the expense, but you have to list any offsets, revenues, whatever you want to call it, reimbursement of expenses. So this budget has been prepared in accordance with those requirements. And if you want to play around with RSAs, it's RSA 3253. That sets that established.
32.5A, you said?
3253.
5.3. All right. All right.
So I'm sorry for the font size, but there's a lot going on here. So what I did is just took essentially the old kind of planning board, planning department budget, which historically they were combined. So we are required under statute that we have to prepare our own budget because the accounting for all our funds is separate than the normal municipal accounting. So we actually have to, the treasurer establishes a separate non-lapsing account for all planning board fees. They go in. The town's not done that. I can't say whether they've never done it, but it hasn't been done for a long time. It's relevant only that my recommendation is we establish that going forward. Whatever happened is irrelevant to us going forward. We should be looking at our own accounts, which means now we have to approve the expenses. No different than the Board of Selectmen going through their consent agenda. We have to establish how we're going to pay for the funds, if you will, of the planning board.
All right, so non-lapsing accounts are there to receive various fees that come in through site plans, things like that, handling things that are in escrow accounts or assessing fees associated with escrow accounts.
However, we set our fees, and that's part of this analysis here.
Can I just ask a clarifying
Sure.
question? So it's just for planning board purposes, not for the planning department?
No.
Okay.
No, this has, we don't have anything to do with, we can't set their expenses.
I understand it.
Yeah.
split.
Yeah.
Because currently, right now, the way it was, let's say last year, the planning board or planning department was sort of mixed, commingled with the planning board. So
This is not.
So the first thing, I had to do two things. And I'm going to switch you to, I had to figure out what our staff would be. Right?
when you say staff, you mean any time that's.
We mean basically Charlene and Jay.
Staff of two?
Yeah, that's our staff.
So any work that's associated with the planning board in the words hours and things like that.
Yeah, so if you go to if you take a look at the end worksheet, what I did is, now, I asked for a lot of information. I didn't get much, so I had to make some assumptions. So what I'm assuming is these numbers will get tweaked a bit if the assumptions I made are inaccurate, I believe they're accurate, but not precise. So those changes, will have to be made. The other thing I did is I fundamentally believe the people of this town should understand what it costs to run their planning board, the true cost. So it's not only staff, but it's all their benefits. So I basically followed the benefit calculations that are in a whole nother department, and I allocated some of those funds here. And I assume that was 33% of every staff dollar. So I come down to, a total staff cost. So for taking of minutes, it's $3,600, my estimate. And for staff, which I assumed 1,052 hours, and that number is $35,000. This is the administration of the planning, the planning board, if you will. And it sets the standard now of what we've got to see, what we can recoup, how we set our fees. This was kind of step one. And you can see down the bottom, I just allocated the hours before I go too crazy here. I assumed 10 hours per meeting for meeting prep, doing all the preparation, doing everything, 24 meetings. I assumed just general administration, there was 7 hours a week. And then the rest was processing of applications, at 16 hours. The only number I feel somewhat probably comfortable with is the total number. How the allocation, I just made some assumptions. Okay. Just kind of, I've been on the board for a year and a half, just looking, from a work product standpoint. I just made some guesses. This is for informational purposes on how we look at things and how we understand things. It doesn't drive anything, if you will.
Right.
So then, going back to the budget.
So those numbers then would go into to inform the model in terms of, what we look to set for
Yes.
fees and things like that. Okay.
So if you come back to the budget page, what I did is, again, just taking the headings that were in the combined budget in prior years. Down at the bottom, I looked at, okay, relates to administration, what relates to direct reimbursement. And by that, I mean, monies that come in that go out. They don't pay for anything overall and direct other than direct expenses. So what it costs us to notice, what it costs for Keach, what it costs for legal. We're allowed under the RSAs to recoup, if you will, the costs of processing applications.
So specifically, let's say our engineer, just by way of that line item, those costs then are passed on to the applicant.
That's
Right.
correct.
So it just in terms of being sort of a line item, if let's say Keach Associates billed out at $1,000, let's say, that's $1,000 that's coming from the applicant to, sort
Yeah,
of
and the money
offset
comes in
that.
from the applicant into an escrow account.
Okay.
Okay. There's a whole calculation on the fee schedule and the establishes that. And that's different than bonding too. Bonding is separate. And then I put in a category of quote discretionary. And they're not necessarily 100% discretionary, but they're generally not reimbursable. Okay. So the administration of the planning board and its, processing of site plan applications, subdivision applications, all the applications, those costs are the direct reimbursement, obviously are what I call the discretionary. So general legal, which I assumed is 80 hours for an entire year, mostly driven by zoning ordinance amendments.
Correct.
All other legal costs, I put up in the reimbursable, looking at specific site plans.
So again, if you have I think you have two line items there for legal? One in
Yes.
which it's reimbursable and the other
Right.
one is just sort of, that's being driven by just the cost of, let's say, reviewing amendments, legal counsel, and such.
I have
It's
a
cost-
question about the legal line. So will that include, how are we planning for potential lawsuits versus appeals for different things that might take a little longer than the 80 hours?
Zoning doesn't take 80 hours, just so you know. Okay.
But zoning has its own line.
Yeah.
correct?
What's that?
Zoning has its own budget.
No,
No.
we prepare the zoning ordinance. You're talking about the ZBA.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. I'll have to go back in and look
Yeah.
and see what we have.
The ZBA budget's all of like $4 or $5 grand.
Right. So is there some
It-
way that we could all get like a share view only copy of this so we can review it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know I can't see anything from here.
I can't see it well enough either.
Dan, could you expand the middle button to the right, on the right-hand corner? You see, yeah, up, yeah, click that. Expand it to, whoops, oh, all right, hit it again.
Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe it was
Right-hand
expanded.
side, there's a little zoom scale. I can give you a hand with it. Other direction.
I just
That's-
unzoomed
that's-
it.
I was gonna say, I can see that much clearer now.
You found it.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, at least you shrunk
Oh,
the
right down
budget.
the bottom.
There you go.
Oh,
Good
look
one.
at that, I can read it.
Good one.
There I go.
Shrunk the budget. That's going. I can almost read it now. It's getting clearer.
So legal costs were never broken out. They all sat
Correct.
in legal. And the town manager told me that our spending this year was $76,000. And I'm sorry, I've been working with lawyers virtually my entire life. There's no way.
Right.
So, but that number's in there because that's the number I was given. I believe when I'm just looking at the complexity of the site plans that I've seen over the last couple of years, I think of $40,000 or so allocation, total. I think 24 hits this year. I think is more than reasonable, you know?
And just to state that, since this would be the first year in which the planning board,
Yeah,
just to state this year that this would be the first year that the planning board legal is, whatever that number is, there should be an offsetting entry with wherever it's been taken. So it doesn't represent a net increase of $40,000.
Correct.
Right.
I
So,
I just have that conversation.
yeah, okay.
So again, in the discretionary kind of, legal, RPC staff support, which we have a contract, that contract's roughly 10 grand a year. I assume that contract would continue. Master plan update. The last update we had was 2023. So when we updated the master plan as you see it now is essentially created, reworked, revamped in 2018, 19 for a total cost of almost $50,000.
Yep.
So, the thought, I think, at the planning board at that time was, let's just start nibbling away, and so updating sections as we go along. And so I think we're a little bit behind from where we wanted to be. So we added $5,000. And I think there's going to be a fair amount of activity around transportation and traffic calming and everything else. So this would put us in the mix.
Yeah.
And then the last is the planning board impact fee update. So when I was looking at this, I went back and so this in that current category is our,
Where are we looking at here, Dan?
trying to get this thing.
Current category?
Update the impact.
So if you look at the current category, so the school impact fees.
Yep.
All right, so the current is what we charge now per dwelling unit. I just guessed, the inflation is roughly 27.5% from the last time these fees were set, which is 2018, 19. So I said, if someone's doing an impact fee assessment, let's just make a guess that it's at least equals the rate of inflation. And then that far column, the last two columns, the fee is what the proposed fee we have from Fourier, I think. And then the required to cover the update fee is the number of additional dwelling units you'd have to see constructed in the town to cover that piece of the fee. So each line item is.
So this column here represents the number of dwellings
Yeah,
that we would have to see built
yes,
to cover the expense of that impact.
yeah, that's correct. So you need 47,000 square feet of ADU space, to cover just that one line item to cover the fee. Now, obviously, you would have multiple things going on, which is why when you come down to the public safety, that's why we did this one. Because it's not limited to just residential. It has a non-residential component. So you're spreading that opportunity to recoup that fee over a larger base.
Right, so this currently the public safety one here.
That's the one we have,
Yeah, that we've currently are in the process of.
correct.
I mean, we sent back the suggested changes to the contract, and we're just kind of waiting for those to be
Waiting for-
memorialized.
That's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at next year, I just said, what's the best bang for our buck? And it's the school. Recreation's the most expensive fee, and it's going to produce the least bang for our buck. You know, public safety will definitely produce the best bang for our buck. The next is the school. And then, you know, I'm not so sure, the road, we didn't get a good quote. And I will tell you, if we're not seeing a lot of subdivision activity, you're not going to see a lot of increase in the road base.
Yeah, I think the conversation that I had with Faucher was that if we were interested, and they don't know what we're looking for, if we wanted something by way of roads and things like that.
Yeah.
So if it was something that we were interested in, then it would involve a conversation of some kind, like what exactly are you looking for us to do? So
that just, all that is gives you the method to my madness, why I picked a school for 2026. All right. Here's where we start getting into things. Fees. So this is a list of all the fees we have, and then kind of my recommendation. But the thing you really should look at is just the fee increase example. So I took every site plan, every action that the planning board did in 2024, okay? And I looked at the fee that we charged per our fee schedule, and then I overlaid that with if the new fees, you know, what the difference in fees, you know, to the planning board would have been. So the difference is $2,600. Well, you know, again, this is accurate, probably not precise, okay? And this just relates to application fees. It has nothing to do with escrows or anything like that. This is straight. And, you know, 14,000 and some change if we followed the new proposed fee increase. We haven't increased fees in 7 years. And here's the thing. We are disadvantaging the, you know, in a small way, but in a way, nonetheless, the taxpayers of the town, you know. We should be collecting, you know, market fees for the work that the planning staff primarily is doing, without question. And I'll tell you, I went to 12 towns and looked at everything. And what I did is I picked the 5 towns above Plastow in population and picked the 5 below, and went and looked at what they're charging. And the big difference is essentially a volume charge. Everyone establishes a fee. So if we go to the proposed fee schedule, I'll show you. So let's take subdivision. So right now, that's a straight fee, $250. You know, there's no volume. So you could, that's $250 for a 9-lot subdivision, okay? And my recommendation is we start making these a function of the number of lots. These plans are more complex the bigger they are, a lot going on. It takes longer to review them, process them, all of that, you know? We should be charging more, you know? So this will all be sent, you know, out with, hey, this is where we are. This is where I think we should be. I think site plans, this example here, I don't particularly like. I'd like to make it very similar to the subdivision, which is just you know, it's a base fee.
That's the next one down, right? Number 12?
Yeah.
All right.
The next one, the two indented, you know.
Okay.
And just make, based on the amount of disturbance, or if you will, or space impacted on a lot. You know, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at disturbance, you know, for the most part. And the town of Seabrook has a nice kind of way they do it. And my recommendation is going to be we borrow what they do.
What is that calculation again? Like Seabrook, is it a base?
So Seabrook could be $350 plus, you know, $100 per every 1,000 square foot of disturbed space.
Okay.
They're all over the, I will tell you, I looked at all 10, they're all over the map. I will tell you though, virtually all of them, except us, has some sort of volume or
Number of lots.
Yeah.
Number of lots, I think would be the way to go.
Yeah,
Really, number of lots.
yeah. For subdivision, it's easy, you know?
Very easy.
Yeah. Multifamily, number of units, you know?
Yep.
It's when you get into the non-residential, you know, some site plans, we're only looking at land.
Right.
You know, some we're looking at with structures. So by impacted, you know, you're not necessarily looking at only building square foot. You're looking at just the amount. So in that example, you'd be looking at footprint, you know, plus landscaping, plus parking. Because the examples I have here, if you have a big project, you know, the math doesn't work in the applicant's favor. You know, there's one plan that was out there, I mean, with you know, 60,000 square feet, they'd be paying us a $20,000 fee under this thing, and that's not going to work.
Nope.
So I just had to play around with it. But this will be in a memo in terms of a recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
But for the planning board, this is entirely a different way of doing business.
You have an example on there where these fees come in and are used to show offsets or something like that?
Yeah, so if you look at,
We're gonna get a copy of this.
so on the budget, I had them there, but this is how they all get calculated. So it takes the schedule, and then I break these out by what gets put up against administration. So for example, the application fees themselves. So in red, you see that 24,000. So what I did is I went through, so in our zoning ordinance, we have a recommendation that we require everyone to go through conceptual consultation or design review. You know, that's sitting there. So I assumed that would be in play. And then I went through and said, okay, you know, so if you take those 8 out, you've got 16, if you will, applications, which match pretty much what we've been doing the last 3 years. Yeah. We, you know, 2022, we did 22, you know, we had 22 actionable items before the planning board. You know, I think right now, you know, I mean, we just did 2, you know, probably brings us to, you know, 16, 17, you know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea is every time someone comes before us, there's some sort of fee involved, you know?
Yeah, it shouldn't be on the taxpayers to pay that.
No, and we have, you know, again, we have, you know, we're incurring staff, people are doing things on behalf of the applicants. We should be reimbursed for that. So when
So
you,
these are the sorts of things that would be sort of captured in a non-lapsing account.
yeah, all of them, all these fees would be.
Yeah.
except the bonds, you know.
No, that's different.
But, you know, it's unclear in the RSA. It talks about all and shall and, you know, all those imperative words, you know? So, you know,
That was RSA 253?
no.
No.
It's 3253.
That's,
32.
no, that's just the, 32.5 is just the requirement that we prepare the budget on a gross basis.
Okay.
Hang on. 673.16 is the non-lapsing account. It's called staff finances. And it's, you know, the RSAs are generally specific. This is as specific as I've seen one, you know? I mean, it's very clear where they want that money, and then they want, and it's not just the planning board, it's all land
all
use
land
boards.
use,
Yeah, so it'd be the ZBA and us also. So this will all come out in a prettier package, but I've been trying to get this information for 3 months.
I know.
Okay. And I just got a little piece of it like last week. So, you know, I would have had more.
No, this budget presentation is, at least, this is more extensive than I've at least seen on
Right, no. It's-
my time
it's
is on the board. So,
A lot of work.
you know, and I guess then, you know, again, with the non-lapsing accounts, it would just be a question of, we'd have to just, the mechanics of it, you know, what that means, you know, how often, you know, what the rhythm would be with respect to reviewing and authorizing, if they're to be used as offsetting of various expenses that the board incurs, you know, would that mean that, let's say, hypothetically, $1,000, let's say, in one of these non-lapsing accounts, we would, you know, how would that work if we were to move to offset, let's say, staff work done? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, again, it's just, you know, as I envision it, you know, is the expenses would be submitted to us and we'd approve them.
Okay.
And then they come out of the fund. You know, we'd authorize the treasurer, okay, you know, is to release those funds. Now, as a practical matter, can release the funds to the town, you know, I mean, that's not that big of a deal. It's, you know.
So it's almost a spreadsheet drill
Yes,
then?
correct. But that's how it would work.
Okay. So would it be something then, let's say if we had a meeting, you know, there'd be sort of an authorization that we'd vote on, let's say after.
Yeah, it's
What
no
about
different
business?
than Board of Selectmen's consent agenda. I mean, that's what you do.
What we do is
Yeah.
go down and approve.
Yeah, you just get the list and you say, okay, yeah, you know,
And we have a folder that goes around that we sign off.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see, I mean.
So
it's
we'd
a
just be
mechan-
duplicating that mechanism.
Yeah, it's a mechanical exercise. I don't see any, like, you know, anything problematic with it. It's just different.
Right, it's different we've ever done.
I guess I would recommend that, you know, as we're talking about using, you know, the planning department's time, how's that mechanism going to work within the realm of town functioning? So will, say, Shay you have allotted 10 hours a month, 10 hours a week?
Well, no, it's, those are like averages and they're projections. So if it's 20 hours, okay, then it is what it is.
Right, so, but on top of what she's required to do for the planning department as well. So how do you, you know?
I don't see anything different. I mean, been running staff here for years and years and years.
Right,
You
I
know,
understand that.
I mean, and doing everything, you know, so, you know,
So
no one's been giving the planning board, if you will,
Right,
full-time staff.
correct. But what I'm asking is, so you've got this, I'm just trying to get a clear picture. So everything will be status quo. I hate that phrase, but everything will stay the same. It's just a matter of us signing off so money can be moved from the planning board budget to the town budget to pay Shay or whoever those staff people are, so that they're not holding off on us so that they get their full pay.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with how they get
All
paid,
right, all right.
okay? So that's,
It's
you know,
just
the only thing we do is we direct the planning board staff. That's the requirement we have under the RSAs, you know, but we don't interfere with the management, the payment, the vacation time, all of that.
okay.
We have nothing to do with that. You know?
So in terms of, I mean, we have a meeting, I think there's a joint meeting between
Monday.
the Monday,
Mhm.
okay, with the Board of Selectmen and the
Yeah.
Budget Committee.
So I'll be ready to present this at that meeting.
Okay.
All right. So, and I guess if there's a follow-on Budget Committee meeting of some kind, you know, then,
I don't know. Not my committee. I have another budget committee I have to worry about.
I don't know if they're actually voting on it. I don't know if they're voting on anything or if what's happening. We haven't received any direction yet, so,
On what?
On the budget committee.
yes,
Yes.
it's true.
Okay.
And who knows, I may get additional information that, you know, changes things here or there.
All right.
As a practical matter, like I said, I think it's accurate but not precise.
So in terms of, you know, voting on a budget or something like that, you know, at least for the planning board, I mean, we have a presentation that we'll do, let's say on the 20th. I mean, is there any practical, I mean, we kind of propose some like placeholder numbers. This is obviously a little more involved.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with that, you know, which was in our thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a budget. You know, it's not a budget that complies with the RSAs. So,
All right.
I mean, we may argue over a number or two, but at least in its presentation, it complies.
Okay.
So do we need is there an actionable item here allowing us to discuss this with the budget committee and the, you know, in the Board of Selectmen? I mean, my intent was, I thought we were required to do that, you know?
Well, I think, you know, I think there's going to be a presentation on the, you know, Monday.
Yeah,
Um,
do the budget.
You know, in terms of, you know, complying with how the budget should be put together, I say that this looks like, I mean, the assumptions can be refined. I mean, you know, in terms of, if we go to the budget tab for a sec, I mean, you know, and I think that's the distinction you were making, that, you know, like the impact fee calculations, that's a hypothetical, you know, and an example of how much it would take to recoup costs. Staffing, again, that's sort of a model type situation. You can plug in 10 hours, 15 hours, or whatever the assumptions are, but that's not driving, you know, that just shows that if you had, let's say, staff costs this much and we were capturing revenues, you know, that would be an example of what offsetting revenues would look like if we were going to discuss about what we're going to charge if we want to change them. But in terms of the actual budget that we'd be proposing, I mean, what are we looking at here? It's
Well, that budget, that's just the breakdown.
Right.
there. So the budget is right there.
all right. So
you'd be requesting an appropriation of 195,000 and some change, of which 125,000 of that number would be, if you will, offset by fees.
okay,
So the net expense to the taxpayer in this example is 70. These numbers are going to change a little bit as I play around with the fee calculation and fix that. You know, basically, when you get down to it, with the way the
Can we look-
numbers are going to work out,
Yep.
is that we essentially have our fees for the applications and everything that are essentially within $1,000 of the expense. So we've set our fees to cover the expense.
All right. Can you go up, show, just so we can highlight the offset items, let's say? I mean, because that's pretty much,
There's only 4 of them, if you will.
so it's the general,
General legal, RPC staff, master plan update, and impact fee update.
okay.
So we're not, none of this is mandatory, I mean, the only thing mandatory is every year we need to decide whether new zoning ordinances are required, which always involves some element of legal, But, like I know this year, just from the one conversation I had, we're not going to see a ton of legal expense on the zoning ordinances. We got 5 of them,
Mhm. So hypothetically speaking, if, again, let's say for, the non-reimbursable legal line, let's say we get involved in something that's, where we start burning a lot of money legally that doesn't involve something that's zoning related. Would we be able to use or authorize the expenditure of from the non-lapsing accounts to fund that expense? Or is that something that would be used?
That typically, again, would be an appropriated amount that gets paid by the town. What's sitting in the lapsing accounts or non-lapsing accounts, excuse me.
What if that number
is-
goes,
is-
what if that number goes to 0 dramatically, is what I'm saying?
Then got to go ask someone for more money.
Okay, so we wouldn't be able to use monies from the non-lapsing? Okay,
No.
I think that was my question.
No. That money has, it's the collection of fees, escrows, everything, has a very specific
Okay.
purpose, can only be used, And again, I look at that as a straight, way back in the day when I used to audit municipalities, we always would zero in on, okay, what's really, what's really being funded here, and what's really being funded here are those 4 line items.
All right.
And again, like I said, there's no, we've done without the RPC staff, we seem to be doing our own stuff.
Well, just by way of discussion, it was said that, RPC, that whether or not the RPC line item, whether or not it should exist in the planning department or at large somewhere else in the municipal department or something like that. And I think the initial conversation was, it's not going to be there. And, unless we say otherwise, it's probably going to reside with the town. I was told that there may be some other benefits to RPC that's not
You're
necessary.
talking about the dues though, not this
Yeah.
line item.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. I mean,
Yeah, there's no, when I got the email from Greg, it was, he thought that would still be better off remaining in the
Right.
other account, which I agree with, Staff support is the support, again, in the past, it's been hard to draw the line between the planning department and the planning board, as to what RPC, who they're really working with primarily, So, that's one, I could, we have the contract. I think if we could nail down support for master plan kind of stuff from them, that's a worthwhile, I think. Just having someone hold our hand, I don't think adds any value.
yeah. And just by way of, again, once we move further on from this, it's RPC, I think I asked them to coordinate with staff for, some date, probably next meeting, whether or not it's a working session or if we don't have a application. Our RPC will probably be in here to kind of sell RPC. So,
And again, the impact fee update, you can see the math. Does that warrant us spending money in 2026 for the school?
all right, so we have budgeted in this budget here for impact fees, in addition to the one we already have, that we did, in the process of doing for 2025, that we're looking to do one for perhaps the school, instead of just sort of blanket doing all of them.
Yeah,
So,
no, I would not, Again, I was controlling the drafting here, so I could, my recommendation would be no, is if we do one, school, and I don't think that's a slam dunk anyways, It would be nice if I had the data from the public safety, because I could start now extrapolating and figuring out what the school might likely look like, but we don't have that, so but again, this is a budget item,
Okay.
This
So
is a
in terms
long
of
way
tonight-
between we're gonna authorize the expenditure,
So in terms of tonight, are we looking to, make this an action item and vote on, for this being the budget?
Well, if you want,
And then the analysis then becomes sort of refining of the assumptions on the other tabs.
well, to me, I don't think we need an action unless we're prepared, so what's going to happen on Monday night? Is that our final budget?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's a review from department heads. We'll approve it to send it to the budget committee for the budget committee to review and look at. So we look at it, take a pass and send it on to you, but we do it all together so that the department heads don't have to come in 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, no, so if that's the case, then I think we could vote that we would present, substantially this form, tweaking the numbers a little bit here and there.
All right, so if in the process of whatever's happening Monday night,
Right.
those numbers could,
I would probably make a motion to accept for review for the combined select board budget hearing, because the planning board may need to tweak it when it comes back. So.
would you like to make the motion?
You can
I'll make
the
a motion to accept this documentation for budget, to bring to the combined
BOS.
select board and budget committee meeting for review. I didn't even say that right.
That's good.
Close enough, I think.
Close enough, thanks.
Point got
I'll
across.
Yeah.
second that motion.
The point got across.
Yeah.
I'll second that. Any discussion on the subject?
I think that's good.
No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so 5-0-0.
Who was the second on that?
I was the second.
I'll get this off in pretty form tomorrow.
I appreciate
No,
that.
no big
Because
deal.
I like to look at everything
Yeah, no.
before it's presented.
And it's coming right out.
No, but
Yeah. I get a little Krabby Patty at the school board budget meetings when they give us stuff that we haven't seen before.
It hasn't changed. Huh?
It's gotten way better. It's the emails on Fridays that they don't like.
all right, Shay, how do I get to the next one?
Right.
Oh, here you go.
What's next?
Which one are you doing now, Dan?
So I think
I'm
we're gonna do the site plan stuff, so I can see these. Yeah. I just may need your help when I get back to it. I was stopped, so I wasn't driving using my phone, okay?
It's all right.
So this is the exit coming out of Milton Cat.
Okay.
There's supposed to be a sign there that says no left turn for trucks.
Right.
It's not there, okay?
Yep.
And you're gonna see other things, so there's a theme here, all right? And, I, as a resident of Southern Main Street, and I'm up early, very early in the morning, there's a definite increase in heavy trucking coming down Main Street.
Yep.
Definite. Now, I'm not blaming it on Milton Cat, but there are businesses that exit onto Main Street that are supposed to have, signage and requirements as a result of their site plan that force them onto 125.
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
It was listed on the site plans, so you answered that.
Yeah. So, my recommendation here, and we're going to look at the Methuen Construction, which is interesting because they only have access to 121, to Main Street through an easement from the town. Okay? But that easement has a requirement that there's no right-hand turn. So,
Thank you.
So Richard, that's just a picture of Milton Cat.
There
showing
is
that
a
there's no-
sign there at the very end, but it has arrows going every which way. That white sign that's
Yeah,
standing right there makes no sense at all, and it's not doing what it's supposed to be.
my recommendation on all these is we send a polite but firm letter, copy the Board of Selectmen, and just say, hey, as a condition of your site plan, you're supposed to instruct
It is
none of
written
these
right on.
turns.
Yep.
And that we'd like to see this, whatever signage, restore it.
There was
Instruct your staff to stop driving down Main Street.
Can I, go ahead. You had your hand up first, sir. I'm sorry, I'm not running the meeting.
Mr. Pelletier.
So these, no left-hand turns, that's all vehicles, it's not a weight.
No, it's,
Restricted on-
no heavy trucking, I
Heavy
believe.
trucking,
No,
so
I
is there,
thought
is
it was
there,
everybody.
is there a threshold that,
This one was different. I thought they were trying to limit everything coming out of
Yes,
here.
anybody
Um,
turning that way.
But
It's
I
the light.
believe on the site plan, it might be just limited to trucking.
I'd like to check that. I thought we had that written, definitely.
So go ahead, Liz, you were going to ask. a question.
So wouldn't this be in the purview of the code enforcement officer at this point? And then if something happens, then we get to the next level and the next layer?
Well, again, the code enforcement officer is generally not restricted, but generally confined within enforcing the ordinance. Okay.
Right, but I thought he also
So site plan.
Yeah.
dealt with site plans and zoning issues.
Well, zoning is the ordinance.
Correct.
So we just don't
Right.
bleed over into site plan and subdivision. Here's the problem. At the end of the day, we're responsible for the site plans,
Mhm.
And, one of the tools in our toolbox is a revocation. If the code enforcement officer wants to go out and enforce it,
Yeah, fine.
I'm fine. I don't care.
Can we ask him to do it and then go to
yeah.
the next level? I
Yeah, well,
think-
that's what I was going to
Okay,
suggest.
All right.
Well, okay, so
But that was my polite but firm letter, was not to,
So if
we're
the
gonna
letter- so it
kidnap your
isn't-
kids. It was like, hey, and in our ordinance, just so you know,
Mhm.
there's a mechanism. It's an escalation of how enforcement goes. There's a conversation, then there's notice, and then it just,
Yep.
and that's my, that's my fundamental belief how things should be done.
The other thing was, some of these signs were already up, now they're down.
Trust me,
what I
I
want to
understand
know.
that.
Okay,
Um,
so that's why I think we should have the right when it's part of
Well,
the site
again,
plan.
the ultimate card is, I don't, for these things, I don't think we should need to get there. But there is some oomph in the planning board as it results to what should be on a site plan. And I don't know who took the sign down on town property.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
you know,
I'm right there with you.
But the storage place, because that was their site plan, that's on the Methuen construction, they know that their only access is through that easement.
Yep.
And the condition of that easement is no right-hand turn.
Get it.
And those trucks are definitely coming down,
Yeah,
And
there's-
it could be trucks hitting it. You don't know what's pulling them down.
Could be
or-
anything.
And it could be kids, hanging signs.
Yeah, and I'm not ascribing, like there's
Yeah.
a massive conspiracy to drive,
Big
but
one.
the definitely truck has
They are
gone,
being-
the trucking
Yeah.
has gone up.
Right, oh, it's the trucking down Main Street
and-
and North Ave
And the
has been
size of these things
horrific.
coming through now.
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
Well, in terms of traffic calming, all right. I mean, what we have here is that, we did have, on-site plans indicating, no left-hand turns, no right-hand turns. So we can have an immediate effect by, pointing out that, the town easement, that town property, that sign can be put up immediately, all right? If for whatever reason, other signs were knocked down because of insert whatever, then it should just be pointed out, whatever mechanism,
Is in place.
escalatory mechanism it is, that, please put that up, all right? And, so we can at least say, from a planning board perspective, we're delivering on, what we can do right now in
Correct.
terms of traffic calming. So if trucks shouldn't be going down Main Street because there's a sign that says, don't take a left-hand turn, we can fix that immediately.
Yeah, I was that's at 125 and 121A.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was sitting there one Friday morning and there were probably 18-wheelers just taking that left down Main Street. And
And
It's bad.
Also the
It's-
timing, it's
'cause
been
they
a
don't
lot
wanna
during
do the
school
lights.
opening up
Yeah.
at Howard School too, and that's when I've got them.
well, it's in the traffic going down, and that's when it was, is when the buses were starting to roll into the school and the
Exactly.
parents and coming out and
It's not right.
All right.
You'll get more effectiveness out of a code enforcement officer in person than you will with a letter. Tell you
Okay,
right
who
now.
is our code officer right now, by the way?
Robert Donovan.
Person coming in and talking to someone and saying, this is a problem, you need to fix it, versus a piece of paper, it's gonna react quicker.
All right, so what's the mechanism we want to use to convey? Is that just an internal email, Shay? To the code enforcement officer, or do we have to draft a memorandum of some kind? Is it sufficient just to send an email?
Yeah, well, if the board could give me the authority to send a message saying that the planning board, either I could request that he comes to a future meeting, whatever the board would like,
Oh, we
I
want
would be
to look
happy
at it
to
now.
send that on, to send something to the code enforcement officer on behalf of the board.
I'm amenable to that.
Yeah.
We're just on behalf of the board, just, we have at least three files that we reviewed. It looks as if that there should have been some sort of signage. It's not there for whatever reason. And that's not, that isn't being accusatory in any way. It's just sort of a statement of fact. And we want to have those signs restored as soon as possible.
Well, the signs restored and then a communication from these companies to their
Communication, yeah.
staff,
Right,
Right.
both of those things have to
right,
occur.
exactly.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, and if you just CC me on that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that's,
If you don't mind.
Sure, so just request that gets moved forward, or would you like to request his presence at a future meeting?
Get
I
that
think
going.
that could be separate. I mean, if we want, it's always good to have a meet and greet, I guess, with but I don't think it's necessary for us to, unless there's a question about it. Like if someone says that you're flat out wrong, it doesn't say that on the site plan. But I think it does. And so we're just saying that per the site plans, it doesn't look like this particular traffic control signage is there anymore, and we'd like to have it communicated to those businesses that
Right.
they need to restore it.
Now,
So, and also to communicate to their staff that, the people at the businesses that, what's happening there.
So maybe if someone on the board wants to draft up something quick that has those properties listed and what signs are missing, then I can include that in an email.
All right, I'll do that.
Right.
It's
Sounds
only
good.
going to be like a paragraph, just so.
That's fine.
Sure.
A non-Dan Kane.
I know,
type
right?
of-
Usually, when have I ever wrote one paragraph?
All right, excellent.
Once these signs are actually in effect and out, the PD needs to be told about it, to watch for it, to
Yeah,
enforce
I mean,
it, because if they don't, then it doesn't do a damn thing.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
I mean, since we've had all the accidents
All
on
right,
Main
Shay, how do I
Street,
get out of this?
on the Main Street, they have been sitting there patrolling
Yep.
regularly, which is great.
Yeah,
I
they
noticed-
just started doing that.
Since our last meeting, there was another huge crash on Main Street.
Yep.
The pole's still broken.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, still
Every
is.
time I change something.
There were still car parts on the side of the road the other day. I'm like, there's a bumper sitting there.
Yep.
It's gone now. Somebody finally picked it up. Wow.
It's got to be done immediately.
Yeah. But they have to enforce it. You put all the signs up you want, but if the PD doesn't
No,
enforce it,
but it
they
helps
need to
if
know
it's
that
up
the
there.
signs are up and watch for it. Because the trucks, he's right, the trucks are crazy.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I guess on an email distribution, we want to indicate, put the police department on it, right?
They need to be aware.
Yeah, I mean, if these signs are put up, then I guess to
Oh, we've increased the police force now.
to Mr. Leclerc's
We have
point,
enough to do.
then the enforcement
Right.
needs to be notified that, oh, by the way, 3 traffic control signs have been up,
Once
so.
we verify they're up,
Yeah.
then they need to know. I mean, I live like a block from Dan here, and I'm right there with him.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
A secret sign doesn't have any magical effects.
No, and I mean, they don't drive through my front yard like yours, but
Yeah.
but I still deal with it.
God forbid, those have all been cars. Imagine if it
Yes.
was a truck.
No,
Oh, my God,
No.
it's,
no.
Trucks can cause it. Doesn't mean they necessarily are in it. They cause it
Sometimes.
a lot of times.
All right. Shifting gears.
Yes.
Okay.
Zoning ordinances. So they're all ready. Council's on vacation, so I promised her I wouldn't send them while she was on vacation. So they're all ready to go
Okay.
for council review. So, my thought is we're probably going to be ready for public hearing on the zoning ordinances the second meeting in November, the first meeting in December. That's where I think we should target these.
So what we're looking, and we should probably distribute this just one more, or
I know,
actually,
I'm going
we're
to,
gonna- yeah,
I just,
but we send it to council, and what we're doing is just that, and council's going to come back with whatever suggestions, critique, or whatever. We can incorporate them, and then we can decide, what we move forward with in terms of a public hearing. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do all of them, or we could do all of them.
right, no,
but-
these are entirely going to be ready for us to make a call.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking to, send to council. And so I guess when we send it to council, maybe we'll just distribute, just sort of a,
I'll send them, I'll send what we're sending to council.
Yeah.
So you have the latest and greatest.
just so that we have a visibility on that from all members. All right, anything this is what we've been working on, looking at pretty much consistently. I think there was maybe one that we thought maybe that would be, if we wanted to revisit.
Well, I mean, again, there's the whole temporary structures, which, I don't really care, personally, I got no vested interest. My problem with them is right now they're all unlawful.
Okay. And what would be the problem with them all being unlawful
Well,
hypothetically?
just you walk into the, yeah, you can find them, you can take them down, if we've got a building inspector, a code enforcement officer goes onto a property and they're on there,
So hypothetically, anybody that has something that's deemed a temporary structure at any given time is at risk of being personally notified that
well, and
it's
here's
unlawful.
a good example is, building inspector goes onto a piece of property because they're building something on inspection, and he looks at a temporary structure that has no building permit to it, that's a fine waiting to happen. And we're only at the good graces of the building inspector, maybe saying, hey, I'm going to ignore this, but not everyone's going to ignore it.
All right, so that's basically the logic of why we would, if we were to look at temporary structures, what we're doing when we're looking at it. We're not looking to, make it like a homeowners
remember, we
association
created-
or something like that is the
We
word.
created an exemption.
Okay.
So if it's, the exemption right now is essentially equal to a garage bay, So standard garage bay is roughly 12 by 20, so 240 square feet. We have 250 in here, okay? So anything over 250 is going to require a building permit, okay?
Yep.
If you want, there's 4 criteria to be exempt. One of it's the size. The other is you just got to take a picture of your lot or, a little scan of your lot, X marks the spot and send it in. It's saying, okay, here it is. We're inside the setbacks, yada, yada, yada. Or you've actually had a variance for that structure at some point in time in the past.
So that's sort of a preview. If that's something we wanted to move on and consider, that would be the movie trailer for temporary structures, the return or something like that.
Well, again, if the feeling it's sitting there, that's the reason it's there.
Yeah, that's
If we don't feel like playing around with it, that's fine. We can chop that out. The other thing that's in there is short-term rentals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We don't really have a problem with short-term rentals. Should we be looking at it in the zoning ordinance? I'm
Is that
ambivalent.
Airbnb,
Yeah,
Verbo?
yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Well, they're a non-residential use,
Mhm.
okay? Despite the fact that people think they're a residential use, but they're non-residential. So that those would be before the planning board, You look at them in all these towns, a lot of the towns are very restrictive. I would propose we be less restrictive. But maybe just have something in the ordinance but again, that one, this was raised a year ago and it was on my list of, things to at least, and again, I'll qualify this, not necessarily from my viewpoint. I probably wouldn't have it here, but I always keep a list of things that are going on, and this was on that list.
all right. So these are all going to be sent out to council. When council comes back, we'll incorporate whatever
Yep.
comments, and then we'll decide which ones we move forward with, schedule public hearings, and go from there.
And the big thing here is eliminating all of that verbiage. We knock off about 20 pages in Article 5.
Okay.
So I take all those kind of repetitive use tables
Mhm.
and I put them in, I turn them into 4 tables. One that does commercial districts, one that does
So
residential.
is it being put into an appendix? then?
Yeah. Well, no, it'll
No.
go right into the body of
Okay.
the thing, but it will be just a page.
All right.
And then the dimensional use tables.
Okay.
So that's the big kind of structural change to the tables. And also we give ourselves that, if the tables need to be updated, as long as we're not granting a use, the use has been granted otherwise in the ordinance, which is how it's set up, then that use automatically goes into the tables. We don't have this nonsense where we got two different, zoning ordinances. One passes, one doesn't. All one does is put it in a table. It's nonsense.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think I've done enough.
All right. Excellent.
That's very good work. Thank you very much. All you do, really.
No, it's a massive amount of work, and we're going to be
It is.
ahead of
Massive
schedule
hours.
in terms of public hearings. So,
Thank you.
Not scheduled.
One more paragraph.
all right, I'm just going to go down
Oh, I did have one more thing.
one alibi.
So we have our decision to not accept an application as complete because we didn't believe it complied with the zoning ordinances sitting before the ZBA or to sit before the ZBA. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I haven't.
Schedule. I'm assuming it's this upcoming
Okay.
schedule.
Right.
I think our decision.
That anymore.
I think our decision is even based on we've reviewed it with council. I think it stands for itself. And the applicant is entitled to make any point they want to make. I think someone from the planning board should be at the ZBA meeting.
Well, then how does that affect us when it comes back this way?
Well, I would probably say that if someone's going to be there, they can be there as sort of a, I would say not in representing the planning board.
Yeah, not official.
Be
I mean,
like
I would-
an observer.
If you, if,
You know who you are.
because I don't, the way, we have a notice of decision. I assume that's scheduled for this month, isn't it, Shay? Okay. I don't think it requires us to actually say anything formally. It's just they have a decision. We were pretty clear as to what our rationale was, and they can make whatever decision they want in the context of proceedings.
The dicey nature is always, is either not go, but I've never seen like an appeal of an administrative decision with a body that is decision has been appealed is not at the ZBA meeting. And I've been at a few of them, so I do know. So that's my only caveat is that. And we don't have to make this decision but
When is the next meeting, ZBA meeting?
we don't have a meeting between now and the ZBA meeting, so. But it is something. Think about it.
All right, we can, like I said, I think I'm of the mind. I did put the question to legal and whether or not, there was a legal representation should be there on behalf of the planning board. The sense was that wasn't necessary. Whether or not, I looked at our notice of decision, I looked at the minutes. I think our position as a board is very clear.
Yeah, I don't think we would.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything, I don't think
No,
there's anything that
No,
I
I
would
agree.
add. And I think then if something came back to us in the context of, let's say, the application, I don't know if I'd want to be in a situation where, let's say it didn't come back in a way that
We wouldn't be allowed to vote.
that we objected to. I don't want to be in a position where it looks like even the appearance of a conflict. I mean, if it,
Well, I don't,
Yeah.
there's no conflict there, you know? It's just a question of whether the presence is there or not,
Right.
you know? Again, I'm kind of like, we don't need to say anything more, so.
well, if we don't need to say anything more, then I don't see why we would have to be formally present. Right? I think that's the way I look at it.
Doesn't,
I would tend to agree with you, because if you're talking, if you go there and you're just there, that's,
It's just sort of,
kind of, you're just
sort of a witness to events,
just taking up space here. And if you say something in regards to it, that probably opens up a whole nother,
right, you won't be allowed to vote or anything back.
no, but if you wanted
Well,
to.
but you don't, I mean, the thing is, you don't say anything,
Right.
And maybe if you're not going to say anything, why go?
Right, right.
Yeah, I think that's my logic. If there was a question, I think if we needed to have some sort of input, I think I would have requested to have legal, either provide a brief of some kind or, or have somebody there, representing our position.
Well, council didn't believe we needed a brief.
Right.
They wanted to be at the meeting.
Right. So I think in that sense, I'm comfortable with not necessarily having a formal.
Yeah, I think I
Presence.
am too.
Okay.
But I think these are the things we need to kind of,
Yeah.
At least.
No, I know you say it'll be interesting. So, all right. I think I just have a couple. I have a couple of things before we wrap it up here. I did speak to RPC. I said that earlier. I asked that Jen Rowden, coordinate staff on a day that's good for her. She'll come here and basically we'll talk about what can RPC do for us. We might be overtaken by events. I mean, we've been saying things like, we're going to do master plan, economic development, or something like that. But I personally think that all of a sudden traffic calming and, transportation type issues have become sort of, important right now.
Master plan.
All right. And, the master plan does deal with the village center and does deal with transportation. And I think, like, to that point, tomorrow night, executive counselor Janet Stevens is going to be here at the town halls at 6:30.
I think doors open at 6 and she will present and have
Okay.
a conversation at 6:30.
No, I did-
Unfortunately, There is also calling hours for Dick Goodrow,
yeah, same time.
same
Okay.
time. 4
Well-
to 7.
All right. Now, but with respect to the traffic calming or whatever, I did speak to Janet Stevens, and and we did talk about the fact that she has been in contact with the town. And one of the interesting things that I think it's important that people need to realize is that the transportation projects that she's talking about, this is statewide, all right? And right now they're over budget or underfunded. All right. So now what you have is that, whatever solutions are going to happen, there is a component to it where these things are prioritized by a measure of community engagement, right? Those are her words. Okay. Which means if people don't show up
No, we
to
can still.
if people don't show up to these meetings, then that's interpreted as being lack of engagement in the way of the community. If people don't send in letters, which she'll clarify tomorrow, like what's the mechanism for, registering your input, then that's a lack of letters, and those types of things are interpreted as lack of engagement, which means at the end of the day, then lack of engagement equals lowest possible solution to the problem. All right. So if you have people, let's say up in Epping, that are showing up to meetings with branded T-shirts and things like that, and signs, and all on script, that's interpreted as being engagement. All right, so anyone listening and anyone that you can talk to by way of emails, getting the word out, and you are interested in traffic calming and you're outraged about all the things that you've seen people talking about, like, stuff crashing into telephone poles, people speeding, what are the potential solutions to Main Street and things like that? It's imperative that people show up to this meeting to register visually their engagement. And then subsequently, if you can't get here, where you can actually send an email or a letter to. All right. And then there'll be a subsequent meeting, I believe, in November. All right. And it's same thing. All right. So if people don't show up, then lack of money and lack of engagement results in the lowest possible solution to the problem. All right. So
No, they'll show up. It's just that it's going to be a little late, maybe. Some will.
okay, I guess I just stand by what I'm saying, is that it's not an either or. People need to show up.
Right.
All right, so so it can be registered as engagement. All right, I think that's all I have. Also, Nolan, Mr. Pelletier, thank you for going over that portion of the master plan to kind of do the, to see what was changed, what wasn't changed. I think we're going to have those changes made, and when they're made, we'll have it uploaded to the town's website. Anyone have anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
All right, then I'll close this meeting at 8:12. Thank you.